It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, today I'm sitting here with Bob Madaio of Sharp at the Print United show in Atlanta. Folks, I got to tell you something. This show is really, really interesting to me. A guy that's been a little bit critical of production print, but it's always been about, do we have the right talent? Do we have the right infrastructure to go out and market and sell it? And at the end of the day, I think Sharp's putting those processes in place. We all know they did the agreement, and we saw that at their dealer meeting on the Fuji product. And folks, you know they're excited over here at Sharp, and I'll tell you something, there's a lot of people in their booth. So Bob, let's start out there. You know, you guys kicked this thing off at the dealer meeting.
Yep. I remember your video. You had some doubts.
Well, you know, the doubt's always been we can't be in the marketplace with not the right maturity level or not the right business acumen to go and sell production.
Fair enough.
And especially when you get into higher production. And, you know, and it was great to talk to leaders that run this thing for you. And I'm gonna be reserved as always.
Of course, we got to show and prove.
Yeah.
We haven't done much yet, right? Look, we're at the show. We are introducing our intent here, right? We are not ready with machines, so we still have a lot to prove. And I think, you know, the thing that you raise, I think everyone raises, is we can't try to be all things to all people. We know that. We do have dealers who've been asking for this for a long time, so we think there's the demand, but we need to start. We think we got the right product, by the way, but we got to start with the folks who know what they're doing and help other dealers build into this space if they understand the business model and what it's going to take. Because I think your criticism that I think a lot have, if we're not careful, is we are going to expose dealers to a market they are not ready for. And the good news with us is our core business is doing well. We don't need to rush into this. We don't need to be everything to everybody. We're going to take it slow and get it right. So we're here. We want people to know we're here. We're taking it seriously, but we're not everything to everybody.
Well, you know, it takes an investment. Obviously, you're going to make that investment.
Yes, sir.
And I'm really excited to watch it progress as time goes on. But let's just pivot a little bit. I'm going to ask you some things that don't have anything to do with
all right, I'm ready.
Print, but
you'd never throw a oddball at me, I'm sure.
I want to go to the NEC Relationship, and I want to go to the, you know, I gave you guys an award a while back. I said best in glass.
Best in glass.
And you know, I'm excited about the glass technology. You guys are positioned probably better than anybody with that technology.
Yeah.
We're seeing, you know, the digital transformation in offices, whether they're using boards or their conference rooms and all those things.
Right.
So tell me a little bit how is that business going? But more importantly, start out with how is the NEC relationship with Sharp? Where are we at with that?
Sure, and I think, look, you get credit for you. I know you do a great job pulling through financials, and of course, on the manufacturing side, we've been working through some expenses that we need to take care of, right? But on the product side, NEC and Sharp are coming together at a number of different levels, right? They're in Japan, there's already joint product planning, focused on similar innovation. We don't want two different product streams. And in businesses like our Sika that we call it here in the US, the teams are all coming together. Any NEC person you can already email as a Sharp person, they're coming into our systems. I think over time, you're going to start to see the NEC fade in the back. We're all going to be one team. We're all going to have one face to both the AV community, like an Infocom as opposed to this meeting, but also our copier dealers who need help. And so they're going to have one set of resources to really drive that. And that's where we are now. So we already are doing joint product launches, product planning. It's coming together. You know, like any merger, it's got its bumps in the road, but I think dealers are starting to see that come together. Some of them are really leading us in with the products they want. So it's good. Where it is, it's getting better as these teams. You'll see one team sooner than you think.
Okay, and will we see one name, Sharp name?
Yeah, over time. So if you already look LCD products that are coming out, already Sharp branded. Other products have a much longer lead time. We have some very specialized markets in the NEC world. If you've seen those large video displays, frankly, they're not branded, a lot of those. But also they do things in, for instance, commercial theaters, really high-end digital cinema. And that's a market that is going to take some time and really get to know Sharp again. So it'll happen, but it's some products already there.
So this will be interesting. So when you come together with the teams, you know, a lot of the dealers are not going to be selling theater stuff, as you say.
I would think not.
So are we going to have just different channels that'll sell the product based on whatever the product is?
Yeah, and you need to think through, right? The majority of display sales happen in the AV and IT integrator and IT reseller channel. And that always goes on, right? We have distribution partners in that market. You know all the distribution partners. That'll continue. There's no real stop to that. Digital cinema is a very niche market with very high-end expectations and needs. They have specialized partners. I would expect the dealer community, though, will act more like an IT resale. Look, we know that's happening over time. Some ways they're doing it well, as you call out, some ways not so much. But this channel, we're seeing it typically starts smalls. It's, touch screens for a school. Then all of a sudden says, hey, maybe I can take on the projectors now that we have NEC. Maybe that scoreboard out there in the bigger schools, which is direct view LED, is something that we could get involved with. But again, it's maybe not the level of investment that production print is, but there's steps, right?
Yeah.
You can do an AquaSport on a cart pretty darn easily.
Sure.
You can do it, you're gonna have a lot of help on your first few direct view LED. Some of those actually come with service from Sharp NEC. We build that in so that you're protected.
Okay.
So it's a stepstone, right? Some dealers may never want to get to that part for AV. Some of them jump right there because they want to expand and change their business. It depends on them. Same with the laptop business.
Yeah. Well, you probably can't answer this question. Maybe you can. But are we going to see? We're seeing the OEMs come together. I mean, just like your relationship with Fuji. I mean, they all have relationships. Are you going to start marketing? Are you going to allow other OEMs to market the glass technology? Do you see that coming?
That is not a, well, look, so there's two ways to think of that, right? So first is, we actually have a very large device division, and our glass, as you call it, our display technology is in cars and compute devices and headsets, really cool stuff that we don't talk about because of those companies' branding. So from a components perspective, that's one of our bigger businesses.
Okay.
From the full display, frankly, I don't know. I would be lying if I even said if I don't know of a strategy to do that, but there could be things happening at the corporate office that I'm not involved in.
Just a manufacturing piece.
Absolutely could be.
Who cares?
And again, a lot of people have historically used that glass in their products as a component in their products. But in terms of buying a fully fledged product and just swapping a logo, I don't know of that strategy, but who knows?
Are you guys working on any strategies to help dealers monetize some of this equipment in an annuity platform?
The display in particular?
Yeah.
We have, and I'll tell you what, honestly, there has been a reticence to pick the winner platform because there are so many display partners and there's so many application-specific ones. Some people love the digital signage for traffic, but you get a local company that works really well. What we try to do is keep an open platform. If we find some that work, we promote them, like we'll do a webinar or put information out to our copier dealers. But sometimes we're finding we have excellent copier dealers who they're excellent at display. They end up talking regionally. And so, for instance, we've got a great dealer, in the southeast here. The Office People is one of them that is excellent with display, and I know Sean's been terrific in working with other dealers, showing what they do, and those other dealers go back and do I want to use that same partner or someone local to me like it? Do I want to make the same investments he's made? And other dealers do that for us around the country. So we do a little bit, but I'll be honest, our dealer community's done a lot of that for each other.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, we went through the global pandemic.
Yeah.
We saw a massive digital transformation happen. Is there anything you could share just from a perspective of a success story? Not to name the dealer, but if I'm a dealer owner and I'm thinking about getting into this glass technology, doing all this, what does that mean to me realistically? I mean, you have a dealer where you say, look, this dealer got into it, we did X amount of revenue with it.
There's lots of stories. I don't know if one's popping in my head, but one of the things I think we just see is this protection that I think dealers are feeling more comfortable with revenue stream broadening out. Okay? And most of our dealers tend to be either at schools for their large environments, some corporate environments, largely schools, or smaller businesses. And if you can get them into approach that they can support and provide the laptop, provide the conference room, provide the print, you become the first call. Maybe you don't give that service depending on what they need, but you're that first call, and that puts them in a much better position. I just visited a dealer in Louisiana this week, and they were talking about exactly that, where they do some IT services, they know their lane, they do some phones, they know their lane, but now they provide scanning capabilities, they provide laptop capabilities, display, and they're growing into that. And to them, it's much more of a solid foundation because if any one part of the business struggles, they've got that foundation. So they were talking about, again, smaller businesses, real estate, some big wins, some local schools. They're even doing work for things like a specific software product they've partnered with, and not a local company. The software company knew they needed local providers, and it's things like transcribing courtroom sessions and government meetings in the local jurisdictions near them that they know they can be an integrator for. No one else was doing it local, and they can provide the display and laptop technology around them. So that's a market that they kind of fell in their lap, and they are doing great with.
Well, let's wrap it up this way. You mentioned it a couple of different times. So how's the Dynabook?
Yeah,
now
we're
that
seeing
you've integrated. How's that going?
Yeah. Dynabook is also working a lot more closely with Sharp than ever. I think that product name, that's a longer conversation. I don't know, but you'll see we don't talk about the prior owner of it at all anymore.
Yeah.
Really, it's not on the product, not on the website. So it's really become more of the Sharp family.
Good.
I think in general, look, if a dealer had a long-standing relationship, they try Dynabook, they weave it in sometimes. But some have adopted it great. I think the first step was getting a lot of our dealers to get it for their salespeople and their employees. Now that there's a comfort level, what we say is just ask a couple more questions when you're in there talking to the copier.
Sure.
Hey, are you running security? Are your laptops secure? Do you know we could provide those to you? They're beginning to find those opportunities. They love to find the big schools. We're finding certain schools are rethinking things like Chromebook because they don't really prepare a student for what comes next. You go to the corporate world, no one's using Chromebooks.
Yeah.
And we have low cost models to begin an education story. So that's got some of our dealers excited. They'd love to be that full solution provider again. And it's growing. So we're seeing some good traction.
Well, it's always exciting to talk to my friends at Sharp.
Thank you for being here.
And Bob, I'll just leave it at this. Is there anything you want to say before we end this?
No, as we've talked before, I don't have a history. So this Printing United, I don't know this high-end space. We're learning, and I'm learning from our own teams. We get some great production folks here. Their eyes are lit up with this new product that they have to sell. And for me, I'm just walking in the floor learning all the potential opportunities. And the hard part for me is making sure I don't want to lead to places that we're not ready for, right? It's exciting. We're excited for a good year. There's ups and downs and everything going on for all of us. But the opportunity in front of us remains huge.
Well, it was amazing when I saw POA had a booth here.
POA is always a force to be reckoned with.
For sure, I would say that.
We love to partner with those guys.
Yeah. Well, my friends, everybody watching this knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.